Open Claude Desktop and you see 3 tabs across the top: Chat, Cowork, Code. If you've already used both Cowork and Code, you've probably noticed the same thing. They feel weirdly similar, and the choice between them keeps surfacing every Friday. If you've only used one of them, this video gives you the rule before you waste a Friday picking wrong. Chat is the easy one. You ask, Claude answers. The other two run real work for you, and that's where the rule has to be cleaner than the second guess. Quick context first, because the framing has shifted recently. On April 9th, 3 weeks ago, Cowork went general availability out of research preview. Production ready for every paying subscriber on macOS and Windows with role-based access controls, group spend limits, and native open telemetry that streams the activity logs into Splunk and Datadog. 30 new enterprise connectors landed at GA. DocuSign, FactSet, Apollo, Zoom. Any earlier framing calling Cowork a research preview is outdated. Now the comparison: Cowork. Click the tab and the interface changes. Sidebar carries projects, scheduled, live artifacts, dispatch, customize. You point Cowork at a folder, you write a brief in plain English. Claude shows you a plan in the panel, you approve. Claude does the work, reads your files, visits the websites, writes a Word doc, saves it where you said. From the official Cowork blog, verbatim, hand off a task, get a polished deliverable. The output Cowork is built for is Office. Word docs, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint decks, formatted PDFs, the deliverables your team expects from you in their format every week. The scheduled section is where /schedule commands land. Type /schedule in any task, pick the day and time, save. The recurring task runs from then on. Settings, Cowork, Edit lets you set global instructions that apply to every Cowork run. Folder instructions let you pin context per project. Approval modes: ask before acting, pauses for input on each step, act without asking, runs continuously with one hard rule that file deletion always requires explicit permission. Code execution happens in an isolated virtual machine separate from your operating system, which is a real safety differentiator over scripts running directly on your machine. Cowork ships with 38 free connectors at GA, Gmail, Google Drive, Calendar, Notion, Salesforce, HubSpot, Jira, Snowflake, Zoom, and the rest. Code. Click that tab and a session opens. Each session has its own chat panel, a file tree on the left, an integrated terminal at the bottom, and a plan sidebar showing the multi-step work as Claude executes. Visual diffs show every code change, added lines in green, removed in red, side by side before any change is committed. Multiple sessions run in parallel, each in its own isolated copy of the project. So a refactor running in one session and the test fixes running in another don't collide. Side chats let you ask questions without breaking the running task. App previews let you watch a local server while the agent edits the source. Dispatch lets you fire a session from your phone and check on it later. The output code is built for lives in code or text. Source files in your project folder, scripts, markdown documents. The work shape is the multi-step refactor, planning a change across files, watching each step land. There's also a routines feature, code's recurring task equivalent of Cowork's scheduled section. One caveat about the code tab: it's a subset of the full Claude Code command line tool. Power users running heavy automation use the command line version separately. The desktop tab is for management and review of code work. Both tabs run agents. You hand them a job, they execute it. That's what separates them from chat. Chat tells you how to do something, Cowork and Code do it themselves. And both run on the same Claude. Simon Willison ran the same task in both windows on launch day, and his verdict verbatim: Claude Cowork is regular Claude Code wrapped in a less intimidating default interface. Same engine, different tab. So the question stops being which tool is better. It becomes which surface fits the work shape in front of you. The rule: if the deliverable is a Word doc, a deck, a spreadsheet, or any Office file your team expects in their format every week, Cowork. If the deliverable lives in code or text and version control tracks the changes, Code. That's the rule. Everything past this is the override and the documented mistakes. Let me walk one task end to end so you see what each tab actually does. Friday competitor scan. 3 competitor pricing pages compared to last Friday's snapshot. Write a one-page brief in your team's standard format. Save the Word doc to the shared folder by 9 when stand-up begins. In Cowork, click the Cowork tab, click Projects in the sidebar, click plus, pick from existing folder, point at the folder where last quarter's briefs live so Claude has the format to match. Type the brief in plain English, 80 words is enough, something like every Friday at 7 a.m. Visit these 3 pricing pages, compare to last Friday's saved brief in this folder, write a one-page summary in the format of the briefs in this folder, save it as Friday scan week of date.docs. Claude shows you a plan in the panel, read it, click approve. Claude runs the task once so you can confirm it works. Now click scheduled in the sidebar, type /schedule, pick Friday 7 a.m, save. 8 minutes of setup. Every Friday at 7, Cowork visits the 3 pages, pulls the pricing changes, writes the brief in your format, saves the Word doc. By 9 on Friday, the brief is in the folder before you sit down with coffee. 2 real things worth knowing before you set this up. Claude Desktop must remain open while the task runs. If your laptop sleeps, the task ends. Real users have lost a Friday by forgetting this. Second, on macOS, system settings, privacy must allow Claude Desktop access to the folder. Folder permissions silently kill setup the first time. Check that before you debug your brief. Same task in code. Click the Code tab, click plus to open a new session, pick a project folder. The session opens with a chat panel, a file tree, an integrated terminal, and a plan sidebar. Type the same brief in plain English. Claude generates a plan in the sidebar showing each step. Open browser, scrape the 3 pricing pages, compare to the snapshot file, write the markdown summary, save to disk, read the plan, click approve. Claude executes each step. Visual diffs show what's being saved. Output is a markdown file because that's what code writes natively. To turn it into a Word doc, run a follow-up command in the same session. Convert this to docs and put it in the briefs folder. Claude does it through the integrated terminal. To make the run recurring, open routines and schedule it. Both flows produce the same brief in the same folder by 9 on Friday. The shape of the work is what differs. Cowork hides the steps and ships the artifact. Code shows you every step on the way to the artifact. Why it matters? Most weeks, the choice looks small. Both tabs produce the same Word doc, but pick wrong and you pay for it. The documented case, a senior consultant ships a PowerPoint deck through the Code tab because the terminal feels more controlled. 30 minutes navigating file paths instead of 8 minutes clicking projects. Across 6 weeks of Fridays, that's 3 hours of decision and friction time spent fighting the surface. The mirror case also shows up. A developer runs a multi-step refactor through Cowork, doesn't see the steps, can't isolate the bad commit when the test breaks 2 days later. Both are picking the surface that doesn't fit the work shape. The rule closes this. You stop deciding every Friday, you decide it once. The override, regulated work always goes to the Code tab, compliance reviews, legal memos, audit prep, anything where a regulator or partner or your own legal team might one day ask what happened in this run and when and with what data. Cowork cannot answer that question. From Anthropic's Cowork Safety Guide, Cowork activity is not captured in audit logs, compliance API, or data exports. Do not use Cowork for regulated workloads. The safety guide names 4 specific things to keep out of any Cowork task. Actions that access sensitive files or credentials. Messages sent on your behalf. Financial purchases or transactions. Tasks difficult to undo or reverse. For regulated work, use code. The steps are explicit text. The changes are tracked. The audit trail is visible in the session itself. Or stay in chat where Claude only suggests and you do the work by hand. One privacy note for the lawyers and consultants and finance pros watching. Since September 28 last year, on Pro and Mac subscriptions, Claude trains on your inputs by default unless you turn it off. Settings, privacy, toggle help, improve Claude to off. Enterprise and team API keys never train by default. The API logs retain for 7 days. If you handle confidential client data on a Pro or Max account, opt out before you start your first Cowork project. 3 documented mistakes keep showing up in real user reports. Preempt these and you save yourself the failure mode. 1. Opening Cowork and typing a prompt like it's chat. Cowork is not chat with extra steps. Cowork is built around pointing at a folder and describing multi-step work. The model is the same. The interface is built for handing off work, not for asking questions. If you type, "What should I write about this week?" into Cowork, Claude responds like chat, and you conclude Cowork is just slower chat. About 90% of first-time Cowork users quit in the first session because of this single confusion. 2. Trying to automate everything in week 1. Of 17 creators who tested Cowork in real conditions, the 4 who walked away all tried to automate full inbox flows, full report pipelines, full client communications all at once. The 13 who succeeded built one task, watched it ship for 2 weeks, then added the next. 3. Forgetting the macOS folder permission and the Keep Claude Desktop Open rule. Set up checklists before your first task, confirm subscription tier. Cowork requires Pro, Max, Team, or Enterprise. The free tier does not include it. Confirm system settings. Privacy on macOS allows Claude Desktop access to the folder. Confirm your laptop will not sleep during the scheduled run window. Run the task once manually before you set the schedule. If it works once, it'll work on Friday. What you actually gain. Once one task is shipping, real users report reclaiming 3 to 6 hours a week per recurring deliverable. The pattern that works is one task at a time. The pattern that fails is week 1 automation of everything. The economics? Pro at $20 a month, 2 saved hours at any reasonable knowledge worker rate covers it. Max 5 times at $100, 5 saved hours covers it. If you bill clients at $300 an hour, even 1 saved hour a month covers max 20 times from day 1. Run the math on your own calendar. If you want the one-page version of this, the 3-tab map, the 8-minute Cowork setup checklist, the macOS permission steps, the safety guide list of what not to use Cowork for, comment the word "decide" on this video and I'll DM it to you in school, free. If you want to talk this through with other senior pros and solopreneurs setting up their first Cowork projects this month, the school community is at school.com/agentskillsacademy/about. Link in the description. Real questions, real walkthroughs, real receipts. One question for the comments: which Friday task are you setting up first and which tab did you pick? Drop the task in the comments. I read everyone and reply on Saturday morning. See you next time.